Finally got in the capacitors and the replacement knob for the Kenwood 4070. This has definitely seen better days, but hopefully I can rehab this enough to where we can find it a new home. Oh, so here's the bad knob. That knob looks familiar. Almost looks like a Nikko, N-I-K-K-O, a Nikko or Nikko knob. But here is the replacement. Volume control. That pot is a little bit, something's crooked there. I don't know. Oh, it's the pot is super crooked. Alright. Well, I'll have to see if I can straighten that out a little bit. It's not too bad, but I mean, this is a receiver that's not really worth a whole lot of money. Here was the problem with this. Finding filter caps for the power supply that are not the same size, but at least close enough, you know, to be like a drop-in. The original caps, and I have the dimensions somewhere, but I'll show you the original caps, and here's the bracket for them. I'm waiting for my soldering iron to heat up. Well, if I turn on the power, it'd help. Here are the originals, and these were like less than half of what they were rated at. They're 50 volt, 7500 UF, right? And I think one was like in the, I don't know, I have to look at the video. It seems to me like they were both around 3000 microfarads is what they were actually putting out or filtering. Got an order from Mauser with some replacements that will hopefully fit, and some other replacement caps that I keep in stock. I do want to grab something real quick. So the original kind of dimensions for the caps, 35 millimeters in diameter, 68 high, and I think this was 20 millimeter. There's a 20 millimeter pin spacing. I did order some incorrect caps. They were snap-ins, and I don't know what I was doing. I was looking at 4 or 5 different pages of caps that might work, and I think I just ordered the wrong one. So I'm gonna use these. I think this is a 15 millimeter pin spacing, so they'll, no, yeah, it's almost dead on. So they should just drop right in there. Looks like we have, I may have to look at the video because I don't see my markings on here to see if it's, I think that's a positive. I need to get my reading glasses so I can see it. I have to wait for my soldering iron to heat up anyway, so let me grab my specs and I'll come right back. I blew this out and the paint just came right off of the transformer. You know, not sure if you know what change this will have in terms of the operational status of the receiver. I'm upgrading to 10,000 at 50 volts. They were 7,500 at 50 volts. These should be okay in this position. They actually fit really good. I thought so. The openings are maybe a little bit wider than the pins, but they actually sit flat. So, and you know, I would scrape all this glue off. The capacitors aren't touching any of that old glue. Maybe a little bit there, but you know, the last time I tried to clean the glue off of one of these boards, it peeled up all the markings, and it made it look really bad. So I'm not going to worry about that at this point in time, because I'm really curious to see what effect this has. Again, I hate tossing old receivers that, you know, at least my perception of them is they're not worth the energy and effort. So hopefully we can salvage this one. I don't think that just popping these new filter caps in is going to change anything, but you never know. And the other ones were definitely bad, so I just want to make sure these lay flat. As good as they're going to get. All right, well, me soldering stuff in here is kind of boring. So, and plus my soldering iron isn't quite ready yet. So I'm going to pause for right now and come back after I've soldered these in. Caps have been installed. It comes up fine on the dim bulb tester. The issue is I'm getting about half a volt on both the right and left channel. So I'm going to do some poking around on this kind of main board here, the amp section, the preamp section. I'm going to have to pull down the service manual, check for voltages on the power supply. So I think we're a step closer, possibly. But those two filter caps didn't address the issue directly. I'm sure it was contributing to some other issues with this thing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and troubleshoot this and let you know what I find out. Again, I'm going to pull down the service manual if my computer cooperates today, check voltages in the power supply, and I'm curious to know the status of these outputs here. I would think if they were shorted, something would show up on the dim bulb. I mean, it should, but you never know. Anyway, let me get to troubleshooting this, and I'll let you know what I find. You know, at this point, I think I have to admit defeat. I hate when this happens. It doesn't happen very often. I don't know what is going on with this Kenwood. I've been working on it for about 3 hours. I have pulled... Sorry, I'm cleaning up here. I have pulled every transistor, tested them. I have pulled capacitors, tested them, replaced the ones that were bad, that were out of spec. Even tested the diodes. Replaced a couple that seemed kind of iffy. No change at all. I have no idea what's wrong with this. The thing that scares me about this receiver is it uses printed resistors. So if you look, and I don't know if I can get a good... Right, so you have actual resistors, and then you have these printed resistors. So, I don't know. I may throw start a thread out on Audio Karma. I reviewed a couple of threads out there, and the recurring theme is these are a nightmare to troubleshoot, and I totally agree with that. And the thing that sucks is, now I've only put maybe $30, not even $30 worth of materials into this, but I've spent about 3 hours. This receiver is worth, again, Omaha prices, 125 bucks. I've already far exceeded the value of this receiver. I'm not pitching it, although right now I am just about 2 seconds away from throwing it in the trash. And when I say that, I mean like taking it to a recycler. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have to get away from this thing. I'm going to have to set it to the side for a couple of months. And I don't know what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, I hate it when this happens. I can read a schematic and I can follow voltages and I can kind of sort of understand what's going on, but this thing is a different beast altogether, and I'm not really tracking. Here's the frustrating thing. Output's good. Transistor's good. Like I said, capacitor's good. The ones that were iffy I replaced. Diode's good. The ones that were iffy I replaced. The problem is common to both channels. I'm getting the proper rail voltage going onto the board. The thing is, I lose it on both channels. Like the voltages, so just to kind of illustrate this, like here's a section here, voltages are off. Well, here's a section here, voltages are off. Like there's no consistent pattern. There's no common component that I can easily identify. It's literally all over the place. Now, the guy that we got this from said it just stopped working and he replaced the bulbs. And I don't see any evidence of any work in here, but who knows at this point. So again, I hate to admit defeat on something like this, but yeah, this is just, we're gonna have to go our separate ways for a little bit. And so there may or may not be a part 2, because I'm really not inclined to do any more work on this thing, because again, it's just not worth the money. If this would have come to me from a customer, at this point I would have said, listen, it's not worth the repair cost, you know, because it's just not. It's not clean, it's not working, it's, you know, all of these things. So. But anyway, it happens. I'm going to go ahead and pitch this. Not pitch it, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the pile of someday if I give a shit, I'll come back to this one. Right now, my give a shit on this is absolutely 0. And it's already taken up too much of my time. So anyway, if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe. Apologize, I couldn't get this one working, but it happens. Stay tuned for the next one. We got some more good ones coming up. This one was an absolute troubleshooting nightmare. I had to go out to Audio Karma because it was not making sense to me at all. But I don't really understand the some of the circuitry in the service manuals. It still doesn't stick. It's not intuitive to me to look at a circuit and kind of know exactly what it's doing. So I'm going to boil down several hours, maybe 2 hours of testing to one transistor, and that transistor is right here. It is Q23. It's part of the muting circuit or the protection circuit. It's covered on page 11 of the service manual. I was at my wit's end with this, and I mean, I had tested everything on the board, and here's what the tricky thing was, or the kind of the issue was. I pulled it, I tested it. When I put it on my Atlas component tester, it would show that it was good, and then it would show that it was an LED diode junction, right? But the legs were a little tarnished on it, so I thought, okay, maybe, well, I shouldn't say tarnished. The legs looked a little sketchy, so I was thinking maybe it was an issue with the contacts, right? My probe contacts. But the light bulb didn't come on in my head to say, hey, if it's doing this on the tester, it's probably doing it in the circuit as well. So the second I replace Q23, I get near 0 DC offset at the speaker terminals. I get sound. Let me just demonstrate. This should pop up with some sound here in a minute. So clean, balanced sound on both left and right channel. So that's what it was. It was Q23. So Q21 through 24, they're all part of that muting circuit, or again, that protection circuit. And I just replaced them all, because now that I know that this is going to be serviceable, I replaced those. I'm probably going to replace some more of these capacitors. I know these two down here are non-polarized. I don't have anything to replace those with. This is a low dollar receiver. I'm not going to go crazy, but I will, you know, replace some of these. I've replaced some caps already. But anyway, so not really much more to show on this one. Again, I just need to do some cleanup. I'm getting good sound. Controls are a little dirty. I mean, this receiver has seen better days, but at least now it can go on to hopefully live in someone's basement or a spare room, or who knows, maybe someone will just pick it up and use it as their primary system. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.